Welcome to the podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Mark.
It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's been a few weeks, Paul.
We haven't closed out the season.
Well, the season is long over for us. But,
It is.
No report on the end of the season.
No,
So,
we kind of left things hanging there for a while.
yeah.
I think so. We did a reunion trip. I think that's where we left off last.
Yes.
We were getting ready to go up to our old deer camp,
Yeah.
and so we'll touch on that in a minute. So Thanksgiving week, I was sick, under the weather. Then you were sick.
Right. I was,
The following week?
Yeah. Mine was, 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
Yep.
Although the cough hung on for about
you
2
couldn't
weeks.
talk.
Pardon me?
You couldn't talk, really.
No, I had laryngitis. I'd lost my
Yeah.
voice. Yeah.
And then
It was all in my chest.
yeah.
Yeah.
And Mom had it too, huh?
Mom had it.
Yeah.
Yeah. She had it, though, in her chest and her head. So,
And then Lacey and I, we went on vacation with the kids down to Boston.
yeah.
And then
Well, Nard and I, your mom and I, spent Thanksgiving in Boston.
that's
so,
right.
So yeah, we've been on the move. Everybody's been busy and on the move. And,
And then Graham entered hospice.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we've kind of had a stretch of
yeah, yeah,
a lot going on.
yeah, yeah.
So we'll,
So-
we'll try to get back to a regular.
Normal?
Yeah, some sort of normalcy.
Well, yeah, I was just thinking that coming out here, Paul, we're in for we've just started winter. Of course, the first day of winter
First day
was
was-
yesterday,
yeah.
and we're in for a long stretch here of
But we have no snow really to speak of.
no.
What, 2 inches?
It's exactly. We probably have maybe an inch or two of snow, and now we're into the end of December. So it's a lot like last year. It bodes well for the deer here in northern
It
Maine.
seems almost, like it mirrors last year.
It is. It's
to a T.
mirroring last year completely. Yeah.
So I guess this is episode number 49.
Oh yeah, we're almost up to
Almost at 50.
Yeah.
And what did they say? They said, I think 90% of podcasts don't make it to 50 episodes.
Well, we'll have to do at least one more.
Just gonna do one more.
so we can be in the top 10%.
Then we can throw in the towel.
Yeah. Yeah.
Call it good. Yeah. So this episode, a lot to cover, and there's some that will spill over into future episodes.
Yeah.
I got a lot of stuff that we can tackle the next few weeks, but we'll cover basically the deer camp reunion trip. Someone asked me about bullet choice, which we've talked about before, but
Yeah.
we'll kind of touch on that. But I would like to do a whole episode on that stuff, because I think a lot of people that don't do this type of hunting miss the point when it comes to firearms and bullets. We'll touch on that in
Yeah.
a minute. A little bit on meat processing, because get asked the question, because we didn't cut up your moose,
No.
but cut up my deer.
No.
And
Generally, of course, we getting a moose is a rarity.
it is.
So we've never done a moose just for the sheer size, Paul. It's kind of intimidated myself anyway
Yeah.
to try to do a moose. And deer we usually do, but I didn't do mine this year.
I guess
And
we'll
I
jump
wish I had.
We'll jump right into that,
Yeah.
into processing our animals. So moose is huge. It's a big undertaking.
Yeah,
And your moose was what, 843?
yeah,
But it's not just that. It's if it's weather like this, or like November weather, right? You're not under the gun to process your deer. You can kind of do it at your
Right.
convenience. But it was a warm day
right. Yeah,
when you shot your moose.
We shot the moose, Paul, September 23rd. So
Yeah.
it was the first day, and that season was early in itself. That first week was earlier than normal, and it was warm. Yeah, it's like imperative that you get the moose to a butcher and
So
in a cooler as soon as possible.
yeah,
So,
unless you have a walk-in cooler,
right.
you
Right.
gotta make, you
Yeah.
gotta get her done.
You got to get it done. You got to have a facility, a place to put it.
But
and stuff.
but it is not cheap to.
No,
Have
it
one
was
cut up.
it was actually $1 a pound. So it was 843, but I think he charges $20 to take off the antlers for whatever reason. It was it was 863.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's hanging weight.
That's
Right.
hanging weight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he weighs it right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you did the same thing with your deer.
I did the same thing with the deer.
But processing deer, I enjoy it. I did mine this year. And it just took me, God, I think I did it, well, just a couple evenings. Skun it one evening, quartered it up, put it in the fridge in the garage. And then I think the next evening, or a couple evenings later, I basically broke it all down. And
that's the thing about a deer, Paul. Like you say, later in the season, so it's a little cooler. You don't have to, you're not under the gun. You don't have to hurry as much. And when you break it down into quarters and stuff, it's much more manageable than, let's say, a moose or whatever. It's very manageable.
Yeah.
And not so overwhelming to look at and say, man, I got to, So
moose is a big animal.
It is. Yeah.
It's a big undertaking.
Yeah.
And then, like we said, the convenience of having a walk-in cooler to...
Yeah.
And plus it was all frozen for you when you picked it up.
They put it, they did. They put it in, I can't say every piece was completely frozen, but they do.
90% of the way there.
Yeah. So I had bought a new freezer and come home and put it in the freezer, and it's all good. Didn't overwork our freezer. So
no. Yeah. So have you looked at the harvest data for this year?
Yeah, I sure have.
Yeah.
Yeah, so are we talking deer, moose?
Yeah, we'll talk.
Well,
deer.
Deer was a little over 42,000. I saw, which is very, very good.
It is, but it's less than last year.
Is it less than last year?
Yeah, like I was expecting, like a banner year.
Yeah.
And last year, I think the final report came out in March, and if I got the right report, which I think I do, it was 43,787, and we're at 42,258.
Yeah, I know we were in the low
right now.
42s.
But that's still
that's very good.
Really good.
That's very good. Yeah.
We've seen a lot of deer, saw a lot of bucks.
Yeah.
All year.
Yeah.
And actually, you just found a shed the other day.
I did.
You got it right there.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful.
Yeah, it was in fact in
craziest spot too where you found it.
I was telling you, Paul, that in all my life, of all the time we've spent fishing along brooks and rivers and in the woods, hunting and bird hunting, and I found two sheds, and both of them were driving on the road. So I found that on State Street, Prescal.
Pretty much downtown Prescal.
Downtown Prescal. Yeah.
And that's a beautiful.
Yes, that is a nice buck.
Easy.
I'm no scorer, but I was telling you I'm thinking that's maybe close to 130.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if the other side is similar, if the left is similar to this right side,
beautiful.
I'm thinking that's a 130 class buck right there.
Yeah, beautiful buck.
Yeah, driving down the road, and I look in the ditch there in the road, and it's laying there, and I had found a place to turn around, went back up, and drove up and picked it up.
Hang that up to the camp or something.
Well, it definitely will be out.
Yeah,
it'll definitely be out somewhere. If I get a coffee table or something at the camp,
find something cool to do with it.
It'll definitely be out, and I'll be using it for something.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we had a great reunion trip.
Yeah, a small crew, but we had a really good time. Short.
Yeah. We harvested a deer.
Yeah. Yeah, you get a deer.
Shot a little buck.
Yeah.
And wanted Derek to, I was hoping Derek could shoot it.
Yeah.
But that didn't work out. Standing right there looking at me.
Yeah.
Like,
shoot me.
15 feet away or whatever.
Yeah.
Right on top of it. So that was it was pretty cool because the last deer that we shot out of that camp, last deer I shot out of that camp was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
24 years ago.
Yeah.
2000. And I think the last time we hunted there was it 2002?
Yeah.
And I think Derek said the first year of deer camp that you guys went up,
right,
and the last year were the only 2 years that no one
we didn't harvest a deer up there.
Yeah. And that was the deer population in 2002 was pretty well gone.
Yeah.
And as in usual fashion, there was snow on the way out.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was spotty.
Yeah. There again, elevation dependent, Yeah. So
we were talking about that a little while ago because I was seeing some photos of people shooting deer. It looked like a significant amount of snow.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, we don't have that here. Where the heck?
Yeah. Yeah, there was some places in the big woods, west of here that, and there again, elevation dependent. The higher you went up, the more snow.
And we noticed it driving out that Sunday.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but I'm assuming as we sit here, the 22nd of December, Paul, most of that is gone.
Yeah,
because we've had a couple warm events, rain and stuff. So, and we get another one coming around the New Year's, where it's supposed to be up in the middle 30s for 4 or 5 days. So
that's right. When we were down in Boston, we got like what, 2 inches of
it rained a lot,
here. And it was warm down there. It was in the 60s.
Yeah,
while we were down there.
Yeah,
and that it seems like the past couple of years, right around the 20th, we get these warm ups with a ton of wind. Like when the year the trees came down on my house.
Yeah,
that was the 23rd.
Was that 23, Paul? 2023.
That was
last year. We had a big rain and wind event right around Christmas, just before Christmas. That was
it was
because it took down my shelter logic there.
Yeah, no, it was. I think it's 2 years ago now, not last winter, but the winter before.
Okay, because we had one last.
Because I remember
winter.
last winter going, oh my god, because I have PTSD from it big time.
Yeah,
and I was sitting in the living room going, this is just like the previous year.
Yeah,
about the same time. I think it was the exact same day. I think it was the 23rd again. And I'm going, oh my god, we're gonna deal with another tree.
Yeah,
but that didn't happen. And then same thing this time. I'm down.
Yeah,
in Boston.
so you were down in Mass, and we had called you up and said, hey, they're expecting 40 to 60 mile an hour winds, and your truck was sitting outside
near those trees.
Near those trees, and so we moved it in the garage there just to make sure. So,
yeah, geez,
yeah,
but we had a good time down there. Saw some big deer at Brittany's place.
Yeah, Massachusetts has all kinds of.
My sister lives in Boxford, and I'm sitting there at their kitchen area or whatever, and something catches your right eye, and it was, I think, that big buck that she's got video footage of, and I just see a rat going through the woods. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And Anthony, he was kind of like, how the heck did you see that? Like, I'm like, I don't know.
We're used to looking for that stuff. It's like that. It's like the deer antler I found, Paul. Nobody's looking, but I'm always looking.
Yeah.
And there's deer there, so I'm always looking for deer and stuff. And I'm just, which kind of drives your mother crazy because my eyes are off to the side more than they're on the road.
Yeah.
So they
get a lot of deer right around their house.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool. And coyotes.
And coyote.
The coyotes were going like crazy that night.
Yeah. So.
And I wonder how because there's so many houses and stuff there. These deer just must.
They snake their way through.
The woods.
They're very acclimated to people, and the coyotes are too.
Yeah, they're in their backyard.
We were down there in the summer, and the pups, there were 7 of them. And they just play on the lawn.
Yeah.
Right there.
And my sister thinks it's adorable.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is terrible, Brittany.
Yeah. Yeah, they wouldn't last very long if we saw them.
Do something about that. It's like, oh, you can't do that to those coyotes.
Yeah, well, we could.
Like I could.
And they wouldn't be playing on anybody's.
I could find it in my soul to.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't be playing on anybody's lawn up here.
No, they wouldn't.
No,
they wouldn't be alive for very long. Yeah, what else so we talked about, how the number of deer shot this year, which I assume it's going to go up a little bit once the final report.
Well,
or should it be just about
although the downstate, they have a 2-week muzzle loader, Paul, so that ended about the middle of December. So we're a week out of the, out of deer season completely for the state.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm assuming it, and those registrations are pretty much real time. So it may change a little, but it wouldn't change much. I think 42,200 is what it's gonna.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gonna be pretty close.
So we won't beat last year, but maybe the way things are shaping up this year, next year should be another fantastic year. Yeah.
For up here anyway. I mean, downstate winters are different down there, but it makes a big difference up here when you have a lot less snow and cold weather.
Oh yeah.
And we haven't had cold weather either. You know, again, it's
No,
today's about the coldest day we've had. It's 10 degrees right now, middle of the day, and but I don't know if we've seen below zero here yet this year.
No, we've had a couple. I think when I was gone to Boston, when we had that bad weather, didn't it get really cold?
Yeah,
was it just
I don't
before
think
or just after?
Tonight should be the coldest night. I think we could get down below zero tonight.
Okay.
They said so.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a good deer season, and like you say, things are shaping up for 2025 to be good.
So I talked to John Carroll.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Yeah.
He shot a buck.
Good for
up
him.
at their camp, and actually he had kind of echoed the same thing we talked about. They saw a fair number of deer, and they saw a fair number of deer just traveling from point A to point B.
Right on. Yeah.
He's like, never happens. And one thing I am going to do, so on our reunion trip, I didn't take a lot of footage that I had intended to share on YouTube. It was going to be more of like a private thing for the guys. So I'm working on a video that for them, it's more pictures and stuff, kind of pictures that are like then and now. Because there's a lot of guys that, I don't want to say a lot of guys, but there's some that are no longer alive.
Right.
Some aren't the greatest of health anymore.
Right.
And can't make the trip up. So I got something I'm going to put together for them. So it wasn't.
And it was kind of spur of the moment, a quick trip. So some of the guys that, would be able to go.
Yeah.
Didn't have the time off or didn't,
One owns a business. And he was busy with that.
Yeah. And one of the other guys was, two of them are still working and, so hopefully if we ever do it again, they would plan a little earlier and maybe they could.
Well, Derek talked about maybe doing it.
Yeah.
Every year, just kind of like an abbreviated.
Yeah. Not version. A full week.
Not a full week.
But even a little longer might be good if you were serious about hunting up there, because basically we hunted one day, Paul.
Yeah.
We drove in and hunted.
And it was like pouring rain.
It was.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
That we were there.
Yeah, the weather wasn't that good. And maybe a few days of hunting would be better. Maybe not a full week, but a little more.
It was nice to get back up there. We stayed up late.
Yeah.
Later than we typically would at deer camp.
Yeah.
Just kind of talking and reminiscing about stuff. It was
it was a very, nice. Very good time. And the camp hasn't changed at all. The woods have grown back.
Oh, they have?
Yeah. The woods have grown back.
But that was nice. Yeah. Nice to get back up there. So what else we got?
Well,
I get tons to talk about. I haven't talked in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So my mind goes like crazy all the time. One thing is, and we'll just kind of touch on this a little bit, because I think we could dedicate like an entire episode to someone's asked like what we use for bullets.
Yeah.
And I'm not that I basically boil it down to whatever. I use a Remington 7400.
Yeah.
I basically boil down to whatever I can trust that cycles through my gun grate.
Yeah.
And that shoots relatively well. But more importantly, that works well in my gun.
Right.
That's one of the biggest things that I worry about. Because I'll be frank with you. The way we hunt, bullets just aren't that important.
Yeah. No, you're right. Because whether it's 150 grain or 180 grain or whatever, if you're shooting a 308 30-06, you put it in the right spot and you're going to kill your deer.
Yeah.
And I'm the exact same way, Paul. I'm not a bullet guy, although I always use the core lock. And I got to say that they became scarce during the pandemic.
They did.
With Remington having its financial problems and stuff. So I went to Winchester PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Whitetail, whatever. And I think in a 30-06, I think 165 grain. And when I sighted in my rifle, they seem to be way more accurate than I remember my core lock
They probably
being.
are. I know I had buddies that were into reloading, and they would take like the core locks apart and weigh how much powder was in them.
And it was big diversity.
And there'd be a lot of discrepancy from bullet to bullet.
And this may be all in my head, but the preseason, the last few years, when I sighted in my 30-06, I seemed to have a better group.
Yeah.
And so I thought, I stayed with it.
Sure.
That's what I've been hunting with.
And
so I've got boxes of the core lock sitting in the gun case, and I'm using the Winchester.
Yep.
And that's just what I've done. All of a sudden, and like I say, it gets into your head that, hey, you have confidence in it. And
that's important.
And that's important.
That's the same thing with a gun.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be going out worrying about my gun.
Right.
And worrying about how I'm going to shoot it. Like, it's so important to me to be able to have a gun that I can pick up and acquire the target super fast. And a lot of people are bench shooters.
Yeah.
And they can't wrap their mind around the fact that I don't give a rat's behind really what the ballistics are and all this other stuff if I can't freaking shoulder the gun in an efficient, effective manner.
Yeah.
If I'm searching for a safety or if I'm trying to line up my sight, because you're not lining up your sight a lot of the time. It's almost like shooting
instinctive.
Shooting a shotgun.
Right.
And if someone's into shooting shotguns, especially if someone's interested in nice shotguns and how important a fit is in the shotgun realm of things.
Right.
Because you don't aim a shotgun, you point it.
No.
You're not, it's a lot more, fit is much more important when it comes to a shotgun. And I think the way we hunt, you start getting into that shotgun realm of things where the fit is the balance of it, how it swings, how it carries is so important. And so it just kills me. Some guys will be like, because I hunt with the 270, and they'll be like, well, if you were smart, you would have got a 30-06.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
30-30, 30-06.
Yeah.
35 Whalen, 280, 257 Roberts, 243.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't care if the gun handles the way I can shoot it.
Right.
And I can like just everything be super flowing and natural. You acquire your target real quick. I really could care less what I have.
Yeah.
And maybe that's an oversimplified approach, but I don't think it plays that much into the equation.
No.
When you're
we're hunting with guns that we've hunted with all our lives. And maybe a lot longer than you. I mean, the gun that I deer hunt with, I've had since I was a teenager. And you get used to it. And
I will say, and there's a reason why the guys use those pumps. Is I love the balance.
Yeah.
When I pick up that pump, boys, it feels like
feels good.
It
right?
does. It feels really good.
That's important.
I will say the balance of that gun I like better than my 7400.
Yeah.
But I'm just so used to how the 7400 feels that's
right. That's what you've used.
That's what I'm comfortable with, and that's what I don't have to search for the target. It's there and I don't think it's hard to explain unless someone does it. And because so many people are into shooting off a bench, having the time to take good aim, get your breathing right, all the other stuff. And there's so much stuff marketed towards that stuff. Gun writers are always writing about the latest and greatest.
Yeah,
thing
I'm
that's
not
out
into
there.
the latest and greatest and stuff. So,
and people drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah,
but it's you got to understand that's not. I don't shoot off a bench, so having a match grade rifle's pointless if I can't shoot it quick.
Yeah,
I get like, holy smokes.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things in whitetail deer hunting in northern Maine that are way more important than whether I use a 270 or 30-06.
Oh my God.
Or what's the flavor of them? Maybe that's changed because it's been a few years now. Everybody wanted a 6.5 Creedmoor and stuff.
Listen, here's the deal with that, and you see it in every area of life. You see it in pharmaceuticals. Who's telling you that X gun is so great?
Yeah.
It's the gun writer.
Yeah.
Who's paying the gun writer? The publisher. Who's paying the publisher?
Yeah. It's
the gun companies that are advertising their products in the publication.
It's called following the money.
So,
yeah.
You know, these guys are going
to
talk positively about what fills their bank account.
Yeah. One guy, he was telling me, he's a friend of mine, he wanted a 6.5 Creedmoor, and I asked him what he hunted with. He said a 308. And I said,
what's wrong with that?
Is there that big of a difference between the two? I mean, you know, you're going to kill it with either one. So if you got the money and you want it just because you can't, just because, that's fine. Go get yourself one. Yeah. But if you want it because you think you're going to be a better hunter or something, don't bother. No. It's not going to make you a better hunter or more efficient or so.
No, but it's like that in every
like that in life.
That, you know,
and we fall into it sometimes, and we want the latest and greatest fly rod. And
But it's easy to fall into the trap because you just get bombarded with that stuff. And I thought of something else the other day. I'm like, man, I'm seeing a lot of this, but I forget what it was now. And I'm just like, boys, you got to ask yourself, like, why is this guy speaking so highly of X product? And usually there's some financial
there's money
interest.
Yeah.
Maybe not directly.
Yeah.
But you back it up a little bit. And
there's money involved.
Yeah, follow the money.
Yeah.
So, and I tend to be, you know, probably a little more contrary than most. If a lot of people are doing it, I'm probably going to be even less likely
we tend to be cynical, to
do it.
Yeah, that's me by nature, cynical and
And that might come from like the investing side of things.
Yeah.
I get super nervous if all of a sudden
everyone's
talking about investing in X company and this company's really, I get really, like I want nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Because I want to be the guy that is into something that no one else knows about yet.
Right.
Kind of get ahead of the curve, but
I like to keep it as simple as possible.
Oh my God,
and stuff, and not complicate it. You know, sighting in a rifle, I like to keep it simple, Paul. I take what I feel is the easiest and the best way to sight in a rifle, and like I say, to me, it's like in a 30-06 or 308, it's 2 inches high at 100.
Yeah.
You're going to be dead on at what, 25, 30 yards. You're going to be 2 inches high at 100. You're going to be back on at 250 or 200 and a little bit low at 250. So basically you're within a 6-inch circle from 0 to 250 or 275.
Then you just
real simple.
Point at what you're shooting at.
Yeah.
Call it
exactly.
No.
I mean, basically, you can point,
and let her fly,
and let it go from 0 to 275 or whatever.
Yeah.
So, and in Maine, we all know that most shots are under 100 yards, and some people go their whole life without taking a shot over 100 yards.
Most of mine, and it was only until recently. I don't think I'd ever shot a deer beyond like 75 yards.
Right.
And most of them were like, you could pretty much shoot them from the hip.
Yeah.
And when you're talking like 25 feet, it just, a 22 can get the job done for crying out loud.
Yeah.
It really, I've gotten close to a lot of deer.
Yeah.
And not that they didn't know.
Yeah. Well, like I say, when you track and you hunt in the woods, you are going to, your shots are going to be close. Yeah. So
like super
most
close.
of the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Super close. Now, the other thing I want to talk about, just real quick, is I get the impression sometimes if I run into someone or a friend that's hunting, I think they get the impression that like I got a camera going all the time.
You mean in the woods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, I do very minimal recording for YouTube when I'm deer hunting. One, I like to deer hunt and I want to enjoy it.
Right.
And I like camp life. I don't want to be sitting at camp
Friggin' with cameras.
with a camera going all the time. And I was telling someone that, one of the things that I do is I just try to plan. Of course, there's going to be stuff that pops up.
Right.
But
plan your spots.
I plan what I want to shoot throughout the day, and I'll pick a time in the day when it's not that, maybe there isn't much going on or whatever, to get the camera out. And so I just have like little segments of my day that I'll pull a camera out to do stuff. And then if there's anything I missed, I'll just fill it in with some talking points behind the desk just to kind of tie everything in together. But yeah, I definitely don't want to be just running a camera, because when you use a lot of valuable storage, use up battery life, and then you're kind of missing the whole experience, worrying about just trying to capture everything.
Right.
And
you're making a job out of out about being hunting and stuff. And you certainly want, like you say, you want to enjoy it and stuff.
Like I love deer camp. Camp life at deer camp is so important to me.
Yeah.
Just relaxing by the fire and chilling out there.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be worrying about
no
trying to get this, trying to get that. So I actually do very little recording when I'm out deer hunting. And it just takes a little bit of forethought, a little bit of planning.
Yeah.
And then you're not even thinking about it most of the time.
Yeah.
But so what's the plan for this winter? I
don't know, Paul.
Any ice fishing?
Yeah, we'll try to get out ice fishing a little bit and stuff. And the snowmobile's registered and ready to go. And
maybe we'll get some snow for it.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Won't hurt my feelings if we don't get any snow.
No, I know. There again, that's a double-edged sword. You want winter and stuff and to enjoy winter activities, but boy, it's so easy on the deer and stuff. And we love to deer hunt, and it makes such a big difference in our deer hunting up here.
This year,
so
alone,
we're going in the right direction, and I don't want to go backwards.
No.
We will eventually. We'll have rough winters, but
we'll have a bad winter, and it'll kind of hit reset, unfortunately. But
one of the things I think of, and I mentioned that last year, you get done the season, Paul, and you look back and you think, you look at things you did, or would you do anything different, and how things went, and is there anything that you think of, man, this is what I kind of took away from this year, this is what I saw or what I learned or anything like that.
You asking me?
Yeah. I'll tell you what
you.
Huh?
How about you?
Well, the one thing that I think of, Paul, is sometimes, and we did it, we hunted one area, a ridge, pretty hard, and we stayed on it, and there was deer there. You saw a deer there the 15th, the day, but we made a decision that we're going somewhere else for the afternoon.
And shot a deer that day.
And we ended up, we shot a deer.
Yeah.
And then you went into the same area the next day and saw 5.
Yep.
Saw 2 bucks.
Then I saw two more bucks.
Yeah.
The next day I was in there.
Right. So there were 7 deer that you saw, 8 deer with the one that I shot. Of course, when I shot mine, we were done hunting. We left the area. But in what, 3 days, we saw 8 deer.
Yeah.
Now we had hunted 8 or 9 days prior to that.
Hadn't seen a deer.
And I hadn't seen a deer.
No.
I hadn't seen a deer. So I thought about that. I thought, sometimes we can get tied down to an area and just go and go and go. And, who knows? I may have shot a deer on that ridge if we'd kept. There were deer there. We had deer on camera.
We were seeing a lot of deer signs. And it's one of those things where you say it fishing. You don't leave fish to find fish.
Right. But I hadn't seen a deer in 8 days.
No, we hadn't laid eyes on a deer.
I hadn't laid eyes on a deer in 8 days, and we decided we were going to change it up and make a move anyway for that afternoon, and it worked out. And so sometimes, and that can go in more than just an area, you know, sometimes it's good to change things up a little bit.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. That would probably be the biggest.
Yeah.
But we also, the day you shot your deer, we were getting closer into peak rut.
That may have been the only reason, Paul. You're right.
And the deer,
they started to move.
Um,
that might have been.
But even when we were in, because we did hunt that ridge pretty hard, but I was pretty confident that, my God, if you just spend enough, there's deer spending time here.
Right.
They got to be just a matter of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went along. It's almost seemed like it was impossible to go that long without seeing a deer.
But we hadn't.
Considering the deer sign that we were seeing.
Yeah. And we had cameras out, and we were getting deer on cameras and stuff.
And bucks. It was buck sign.
And bucks. Yeah, there was lots of buck sign and stuff. But yeah, we had made that move and made that decision to try something else, and it did work. Something else worked, you know.
And it's
like
hard.
you say, it may have not have been because may have been more, you know, as far as time, you know. That middle of the month we talked about, that is prime rut.
15th.
The 15th. So, and that's the day that I shot my deer. So,
was this Jerry Levine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two, we've talked about that, two schools of thought on peak of the rut.
Yeah.
There's moon phase, and then there's photo, you know.
Length of the photo period.
Yeah, length of daylight, right?
Yeah.
So length of daylight would be the same every year.
Yep.
It would be the exact same time every year. And Jerry Levine, who is a well-respected, retired deer biologist, he goes with length of daylight.
15th. And just on how other biological systems work, length of the photo period is the driver of many, many things. So I can totally 100% see
the logic
why
behind.
And it
I'm not going to argue with
to
Jerry
so many
Levine, I'll tell you
systems.
that.
No, but you don't have to be a deer biologist to just there's so many instances of living things that utilize the photo period for
right.
That it just makes, biologically speaking, makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That moon phase seems more of has a little more drama to it, right? I think
like we're going to figure
a little cooler, than just being
like we're going to figure it out.
It's the 15th.
Yeah.
You know, it has more of like a little magical component to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
yeah,
it makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's always so sad when it's over, though.
It is, Paul.
It's a long 11 months to next year.
Yeah.
It's always a bummer. Even when you harvest a deer, it doesn't matter how big the deer is, or I think if you're a real, shouldn't say real deer hunter, but if you like to hunt, the minute the deer's on the ground,
it's over.
It's kind of
bittersweet. Yeah.
It can be almost disappointing.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all she wrote.
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of put pressure on you this year, Paul, and you were getting it from a lot of different directions there. I felt bad because I was giving it to you there. People had kind of planned out our, they
want me to shoot a deer so they can go do their trips.
They wanted us done, and
I don't want to be done.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
I don't want to be done.
I'm not.
But
yeah,
it comes to an end one way or another. Either run at a time, or
you either get a deer or run at a time. So
harvest a deer.
But we missed the what we live for. We missed out on the snow completely, Paul. You and I both.
I know that killed me this year.
Yeah,
because I want to hunt on. I love hunting on snow so bad. And but even still, Thanksgiving week we didn't have. I don't think it was till Friday.
Yeah,
at least in this area that we had any sort of snow.
Right.
So it would have been the end of Thanksgiving week, and then even muzzleloader. There wasn't a lot of.
No,
we didn't have a lot of snow here.
No,
I know some parts did. I saw pictures where guys were hunting on significant snow, but we didn't hear.
No, not in the northeast Aroostook County. No. So we do have kind of a what I consider a deer hunting trip coming up, Paul. We got to go pick up our cameras.
Yeah,
so that'll be interesting because there's very little now. We do have enough snow to at least week. We have a couple inches of snow to at least see sign and stuff, and so that'll be interesting to go pick up trail cameras and maybe see what's going on.
Maybe Christmas Eve morning or something.
Yep,
early in the morning.
Yep,
we can go. Maybe I'll bring some cameras with me. And
so our cameras, all our cameras are still out there, and we haven't checked them basically since the 15th of November.
Since you
so it'll be really interesting to see what went on those cameras from the middle of November till now.
Yeah, and to see what's still hanging out there for deer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, seeing the sign.
I assume there's still deer running around.
Yeah, they're not in the yard. They wouldn't be.
No,
not all of them anyway.
No,
so
maybe the does and whatnot, or a lot of those. Yeah, it's kind of funny. The minute we get some snow on the ground, they get wired into.
They point their nose south. Yeah,
the bucks don't.
Yeah, they do. They, like I say, those deer. The minute the snow hits the ground, they point their nose south. And I've been watching the Brownville deer pantry there.
Oh yeah.
Same thing. Those deer don't have to be in the yard, but they're conditioned that they're being fed. They're there.
Are they there? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big bucks, nice bucks and stuff. And I'm wondering if it's the same thing where we hunt, because they go into yards where I think they're being fed, and they're just conditioned not out of necessity to go to the yard, but the fact that they know that there's a meal on the other end and stuff. So
why not?
Yeah.
Why not? So, lastly, Carl sent me a picture. Carl Morneau?
Yes.
Do you know anything about?
I do.
It was a beautiful buck.
So, and I didn't know who it was that sent me that picture, Paul. He had sent a picture, and I have a flip phone, and I couldn't see the picture because I've got a little flip phone.
I got it right here.
And I told him, I gave him your number and said, send it to Paul. And it was, I think, a lady down in Littleton or Monticello that shot a buck.
Yeah, that's the Monticello store.
Okay.
Littleton, right along the main drag there.
Well, you just explained a lot to me, because I had that conversation with somebody, and they said they were going to send me a picture, and I couldn't remember who it was I had the conversation with. I got the picture, couldn't see it because I got a little flip phone.
Yeah.
And told him to send it to you, so I'll have to look at that picture, Paul.
So what's the story behind it?
He just said that somebody got a nice buck there. And, I think it was a lady, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
he just said, hey, I was telling your dad about this deer. Show him the picture.
Yeah.
So
I'll take a look at it at the...
beautiful buck.
Yeah.
I'd like to know the story behind it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't remember the story. We went to a Christmas party. He was there, and he was telling me about it.
You must have been drinking heavily or something.
No drinking. There wasn't any drinking. A lot of poor food choices, but no alcoholic beverages. So, yeah,
it could be just as bad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, just as bad for sure.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah,
I think we're about an hour in or so.
Yeah.
You probably.
Oh, there's lots of good stuff, Paul. Like I say,
I've got a bunch of future episodes planned. We can dedicate just to some specific topics. That, a lot of it's helpful whenever someone comments, because the big thing with this channel is I want it to be engaging.
Right.
I don't want it to be just like a one-sided thing, because I'm not an expert deer hunter per se.
No.
And a lot of it's just sharing stuff.
Right.
And a lot of it's to occupy a deer hunter's mind in the off season.
Right.
Because we spend more time not hunting.
You can stay connected in some form to deer hunting because you can't go deer hunting, but you can.
If it's just a simple story, like I thanked John Carroll. I reached out to him the other day just to see how their season, I hadn't heard from him. Want to see how their season had gone and if he made it home, because they've got quite a tradition there at their camp. Yeah. And, John took an awful lot of time to write out a nice detailed email of basically their whole season. And I told I'm like, I appreciate that because I enjoy
reading
all the little details, you know, that I think maybe some people may not enjoy that. They just want to, you know.
Yeah. I got a funny story.
I like all the little stuff.
Yeah. So a couple days ago, I was at the hospital cafeteria and a beautiful young lady, tall, blonde young lady came up to me and she recognized my voice.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how'd Mom feel about that?
Well, I'm 66 and she's probably in her 30s. I don't think Mom was threatened. You know, she just, I actually,
I don't know. Bill Belichick seems to be able to.
I'm not that guy. But she was a beautiful young lady and she come up and she and her family watch our show and listen to the podcast, and she recognized my voice and she shared with me a few things and her husband shot a deer, she shot a deer, and her son shot a deer this year. They had 3 deer. So
so they get
freezer
full of meat.
When I finally, you know, I recognized her and, you know, I said, I worked with her husband at UPS. Yeah. He was a young guy at the time he was there. I'd been there more years than he'd been alive at that time at UPS. So
is he an old guy now?
He's getting older, but he's still not old.
No.
He's still not old. He's 10 years older than he was when I left, but he's not old. But yeah, it was just nice to, you know, people come up and the way she said, I heard your voice and I knew, you know,
no kidding.
we enjoy, she told me we enjoy the shows and the podcast. And
well, as long as some people still enjoy it.
She was a lovely young lady.
It's not hard to do these. Going forward the next few months, the next 6 months, I don't know how many videos will be out.
Right.
Because there's a lot going on, but podcasts is, I enjoy coming up with a topic because I'm always thinking about stuff. Usually it's random times that I come across something or something pops into my head that I get thinking about. Yeah. And I'm like, that would be something to talk about. I'll jot it down. I got a whole list of stuff over the past 3 years that we've been doing this that sometimes I'm in the shower and you just think about something and you think, well, probably a lot of other people have that same problem or that same concern or that same question. And so I'll write it down and eventually I'll get to maybe I need to research it or maybe, you know, it's not pertinent at that time period in the year. But yeah, it's pretty easy to do, pretty easy to edit. So it's doable for the near future.
I listen to a lot of podcasts and I enjoy them all. And actually there's not enough out there to keep me satisfied because I have a workout room and I go in and work out and I love to have a podcast on when I'm working out and stuff. And
yeah, a lot of people are the same way. I am. I don't, and I've said this before, since I started doing this, I don't listen to many deer hunting podcasts and I don't watch basically I watch no deer hunting videos anymore. Just because I don't want to compare myself to anyone else. I don't want to be feeling like I'm ripping someone else off.
Right.
I want to grab from other genres of things and pull them into this to in some way be unique. Yeah. Because it's very easy to kind of everyone is doing the same thing.
I do see that whether it's just by chance or whether
it's not by chance.
People watch different. Sometimes you'll see the common thread in all the shows and all the.
It's not by chance. Even if you try not doing it, maybe someone has a pretty cool shot out deer hunting, and then everyone's replicating it. Yeah. I don't want to fall into that trap. I will say probably the only deer hunting podcast I listen to is Big Woods Bucks. Yeah. And it's just because that's something I've always listened to. And I don't know, they just seem kind of just down to earth. Yeah.
So one of the changes there that I want to ask him is, where's Lee Libby? Lee, where's Lee Libby? I'm not going to call him Bad Lee because
Oh,
he's not
on Big
he's
Wood
not a
Bugs?
bad guy. He's a really
Yeah.
good guy. I think they call him Bad Lee on the show there, but I don't see him as being bad at all.
Yeah.
And
He was a good personality.
he
on
was
there.
he brought some personality
Like
to
that.
the. So I guess
Him and I think probably Garnett's the other.
Guy Garnett. Yeah,
He's the other one that
he is interesting.
everyone. Yeah,
He is.
The problem is, so someone like Garnett, there's always that guy at camp.
Yeah,
I think everyone that has a pretty diverse deer camp always has that one guy that maybe had pushed the envelope back in the day, and can also tell a story. I mean, you think of up to our camp, Jody comes to mind.
Yeah, that's right.
He could tell. The thing is with Jody is he had a very interesting life.
He's the best.
Nice way to put it.
Yeah,
And
he kept things interesting
He did.
and exciting.
and he could also tell a story.
He could tell a story and still can.
Yeah.
He was certainly certainly
So
is
when the
a-
guys, after hunting all day, you get back and you're sitting around the table, and to hear one of Jody's stories,
yeah.
it almost sounds like you really did that.
Yeah, Jody had lived more in 10 years than I did in 60. I'll tell you that
Yeah.
right now.
So yeah, I think everyone has that relatable person, and I kind of get that vibe from Garnett that he kept things interesting.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe pushed the envelope, but was a guy that you just couldn't get mad at about it.
Right.
Right?
Like Jody.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, you
what were you
love the
thinking,
guy.
man? But
Yeah, you love the guy.
but
You know,
like-
it's like, yeah.
you just chuckle.
Yeah. So,
Like if I did something like that,
yeah.
you moron.
Yeah,
but
I can't
get away with it.
I can't compete with those guys.
But
that's for sure.
Yeah, no.
So,
But yeah, Badly is always good on there. But that's about the only one I listen to.
yeah.
And-
He hasn't been on in a long time. Like
Yeah.
I say, I'm wondering what,
But it's not that I don't have anything against any of the other ones. I just a lot of good information and I've gotten a lot of stuff just by sitting in your pickup. Like the whitetail mount. The only reason I knew about the whitetail mount was because that time I was sitting in your pickup.
Yeah.
And you had a podcast on where they had Harold Torrey on there.
yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's super interesting.
Yeah.
He sounded like he was passionate about what he did, and he was
And I
seemed
don't,
intelligent.
I don't know, and I can't remember the pod if it was Northwoods Whitetails. I think it was, and it may have been Harold Torrey, but maybe not. And they had a guy on there, and he had some really good stories.
Really?
Really good stories. These old timers and they've got some really good stories.
Well, I'm going to reach out to. So I've had some people send me some names of some older individuals.
Yeah,
And Mark was one of them. I'm going to reach out to Mark this winter to see if I can get in touch with the two older guys that he was talking about.
yeah,
And because that's another thing that with deer hunting is there's a lot of stuff that gets lost generationally speaking. When someone passes away, man, if you can't document it or get something down on video or audio or something, it's going to be gone forever.
right.
And I was telling Derek that, like, one of the things that I wanted to do on our reunion trip was, and it didn't work out this year because of the number of guys. I just kind of wanted an account.
Yeah.
And even if not everything I record goes on YouTube, there's a lot of things that I keep private.
Right.
And
Yeah.
even if I never did anything with it, have just some sort of record of everyone's stories about different times, because it'll get lost eventually.
Yeah.
It'll be gone. So.
Well, like I say, some of the very best stories were these older gentlemen that had, like Harold Torrey and stuff, that they're good storytellers.
Yeah.
And they had the stories to tell. The stories were good too. So,
Well, as when I worked in Ashland, that was one of my favorite things about working in
the
Ashland.
old timers coming in and telling stories.
Yeah, a lot of them,
Yeah.
grew up working in the woods.
Yeah.
And even that, I love the history of logging.
Yeah. Well, the history of the woods.
And it was so different then.
Yeah.
And they had firsthand knowledge. They lived it. Like back in the 40s and 50s. These guys have since passed, but they'd get they're 80 something years old coming in, you know, they'd get a little sparkle in their eye when you'd ask them about, and they'd stay there for an hour and a half, just like, you know, and I wish, you know, I could have gotten some sort of account. That wasn't the place to be doing that, but you wish that you could have documented that somehow.
Yeah, you know, and
because those guys couldn't even write. A lot of them couldn't write. They could sign their name. That was it.
Yeah, you know, and you talk about that. I can remember as a little boy sitting at deer camp, and the older gentlemen who have long gone that were, and hearing stories. I mean, from everywhere, from getting a hunter that was shot in the woods, out of the woods and stuff. Which is, you know, you say, well, that's well, you know, the guy lived and everything, but that stuff happened.
Yeah. It was a lot more common back then.
Yeah. They were the guys that, like I say, that I was in deer camp with. They hauled people out of the woods that had been shot while they were deer hunting and stuff. And stories, I mean, there's a lot of stories, a lot of different stories.
Yeah.
And they ran the gamut, you know, from that to the hunting stories themselves. So,
yeah. So I'll try to have more guests and stuff over the course of the year. But one thing that always has made me nervous about guests is one, I don't want to pick. I've got a lot of gear. I don't want to be running around trying to go to other places, and I don't really have the time to do that. And two, I always worry about having someone on and then someone saying something pretty ignorant. You know, comments and stuff. I'm pretty regular about going to the comments, and even if I have someone on, like, I don't care about me.
Right, I don't either, because I don't even read the comments, Paul.
I don't care about you.
I don't read the comments.
But I get very worried about, because I don't want someone to, you know, you invite someone on to share something, and they're honest and upfront, and then some ignorant person who has no idea what they're talking about just
and you're always going to get those people
runs their jaws about something, and you're like, oh, God, like,
one of the things
this poor guy is just doing us a favor.
Yeah, one of the things I've learned in life as I've gotten older is not getting offended. You know? It's hard to offend me. No. So
what broke me of that is my line of work.
Yeah.
So I worked with the public, especially in healthcare.
Yeah.
And boys, let me tell you, the number of times I've had my head chewed off for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
And I can't let it bother me.
No, because it's just
bad things will happen if I'm sitting there seething over someone saying something. And
well, then they've got you. They're in your head.
I don't have time to deal with it.
And I'm not going to let somebody take up rent in my head. I'm just not going to do it.
You become very, very hard to it.
Yeah.
To the point it's like laughable.
Yeah.
And to the point where sometimes, I hate to say it, but you kind of may mess with the person a little bit.
Yeah.
But I can give a perfect example of, we had a technician. She handled it very well, and it was probably because she was older. She was in her 40s.
Right.
And someone had just lit into her for like no apparent reason. And calling her every name in the book.
Yeah.
And I can remember I told her, I'm like, you handled that really well. And I'm like, I probably should have stepped in to say something, but I was on the phone with another issue.
Right.
And by the time I get off the phone, that person was gone. And I said, but I knew the person, and I looked at her and I'm like, there's probably something else going on in her life that has nothing to do with you, but you just happen to be the one that got the wrath.
She was,
and I kid you not. And this girl was like, no, I'm fine. It doesn't bother me. She goes,
and that's a good trait. Yeah.
I kid you not, 30 minutes later, the phone rang, and this girl goes, can I speak to so-and-so?
That's good.
She's like, I was not raised to be that way. I handed her the phone, and she apologized up and down.
Yeah, that's good.
There was something going on in her life that day.
Yeah. Which doesn't give us right to do that, even though, but sometimes we give grace to somebody because they've,
But it just so happened
that was good that she did that, that she called back.
And then for weeks, It just was like every day. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, so you never know what someone's dealing with at a
Right.
given point in time.
Right.
You know?
Not to justify it, but you're right. Right.
No,
So,
but oftentimes it's coming from a different area, and you just happen to be
in the line of fire.
Yeah.
An easy
Like,
target.
what did I do to sign up for this?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. I guess that got derailed real quick.
Well, those are good life lessons right there, Paul. That people, like I say, you know, just getting to a point in your life where you don't get offended by what people say. Because when you do, you're, like I say, you're giving them control of your life. Yeah. You know, and I'm not going to give people control of my life. No. Whether I have a good day or a bad day, they won't determine that. No. So
you got to be able to
forget about it.
You got to be able to tease out what's just noise in your life and isn't contributing to the goal at hand. It just sucks the life out of you trying to. It's like running in a race and then constantly running up in the bleachers, arguing with someone that you're right, and you're missing the race, and you end up losing the race because you're too busy getting caught up with all the
background noise.
The background noise. The chatter going on in your head.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. I think this one's gone long enough. We're just making up for lost time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been 3 weeks.
Well, you can edit all that stuff out, Paul.
No, I don't want to do much editing, so I'll just let her fly. Yeah. It's almost Christmas. We got a lot of stuff to do. So yeah, that's a heck of a shed.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Like I say, of all the years and the miles, and find it on State Street Prescott.
Yeah. Never know.
So
alrighty. So I guess we'll do it again next week.
Yeah, whenever you say.
Same time, same place.
Whenever you say.
All right, sounds good. That it?
That'll be good.
Right. I guess until next time, get outside.
It's good for the soul.
See ya. I almost forgot what to say there.
I was thinking the same thing. What do I say?
How do I close this?
What do I say?
All righty.